it's a lot different than chicken broth.
What's especially with the Tuesday game getting wiped out, what's the level of desire you guys have to make up any of those 3 games maybe that have been canceled?
Well, the desire is very high to make that game up and to make any of the games up that we've lost. Unfortunately, as you start to get into this point of the year, there's only so many days that we have. Already got Tuesday games built in. You don't want to play a whole lot of Tuesday, Wednesdays as you get into conference. So finding a replacement game in there is going to be difficult, unfortunately.
What's an area, 40% of the way through the season, or however far we are at this point, that you think that your team needs to take a step forward?
Well, I think probably what we've talked about since the beginning of the year is just the fielding in general. I think we've been better over the course of the last couple of weeks. Playing at home probably has helped that. Save probably one game in there that we were disastrous defensively. I would like to see us continue to improve there, and I think just having Overbeek back and sliding Stokes back over to second base and not trying to play an injured Brumball, for a couple of weeks there when we were doing that, I think that'll help. Dylan Carey's getting more comfortable every day. Karen's doing a nice job, and we've done a good job in the outfield. So I still think that's an area where we can become a above average team, and we're not there yet, but we can continue to strive to get there.
From a strikeout perspective, where do you think things are at there at this point?
Well, I think they're trending in the right direction for sure. We were obviously striking out more than we'd like early in the season. I think we've hit well with 2 strikes. I think we've had a lot of improvement just in terms of a lot less double-digit strikeout games than we had early in the season, and I think we're definitely trending in the right direction that way.
You mentioned Brumbaugh. Is he throwing again yet, or was he?
He's playing catch, and he feels pretty good. So again, it's just a matter of, he's been out from throwing for 3 weeks. It's a matter of getting him ramped back up. Can he play second base? Could we potentially see him in the outfield at some point? Maybe that's a better answer for him, just having less throws to be able to go back out there and do that. So he's feeling better. I still think you're a couple of weeks away from seeing him potentially play in a game that matters.
Do you have a sense of maybe why you guys have been so good with 2 outs this year at the plate?
I think a little bit of it's kind of comes in waves. I think you might have some times where it feels like you can't get a hit with runners in scoring position. Sometimes, it's you're 10 for 20 and you look up and the numbers they end up balancing themselves out. Now with 2 out hitting, I think there are a couple theories there. Number one, we hit more ground balls. We hit more ground balls this year. Our ground ball rate is higher. Now that's not inherently good either necessarily all the time, but when it comes to 2 out hitting, that is a key piece of it, is not hitting the ball in the air. And getting the low ball through the middle of the field. I think we've done a better job of that. And I just think 2 out hitting, a lot of it is just having the mindset of the inning's never over, the rally's never over, and then just having a chance to pick some guys up too. I mean, just kind of that urgency. And it's happened several times this year, it feels like, where we've had, a runner third or less than 2 outs and we don't get the job done, and the next guy steps right up and picks him up. So I think you've got to have that team aspect of it as well to have the 2 out hitting.
What's kind of in the mindset heading into Big Ten play? A lot of new faces on this year's team. Just what makes conference play different?
Well, the mindset, and we talked about it this week with the group, is, we obviously are feeling good. We've played well up to this point. It's not to change anything. It's not to say, okay, well, now we're playing in conference. We've got a different record associated with our name. It's just to stick to our process and be very, very consistent with what we do and not make more than it needs to be, which has exactly been the strength of this team. We've made every day super important, including practice days, and that's allowed us to be very, very consistent.
What do you see from Northwestern, especially with a new coach and a lot of new roster turnover there?
Yeah, Coach Greenspan, I've known him for a long time. He was in Indiana when I was an assistant here. He went with Tracy to Arizona State and then obviously to Michigan, so I've known him for a long time. He's done a tremendous job in a really short amount of time. They've played a really tough non-conference schedule, and they're coming away with right at a 500 record and a really good RPI. So very left-handed lineup. And you don't look at any of their numbers and say that maybe you know, any of them really jump off the page at you offensively on the mound or anything like that, but that their record says that they play well together and that they're really well managed as a group.
I think you mentioned this maybe on your show too, but are red shirt decisions sort of still in process with some guys, or do you have a sense of who might be sitting out this year?
Yeah, I think barring like major injuries from the current roster, I think Matt Evans is probably going to redshirt this year, and that's unfortunate because I think he's a really good player. But he came, you know, he had his shoulder surgery in the offseason, and he wasn't quite ready to throw when the season started, and I think that speaks to maybe some of our depth too, that, you know, there's just not a lot of room for him to get in there. And we've got some pitchers on the roster too, Kneifel and Yasa and Ian Regal, some of those guys that haven't pitched yet. That, again, it would take some major injuries there probably to get those guys in, but I'm excited about all of them. I mean, they all bring something a little bit different to the table, and you know, I would say we've pretty much made decisions on most of those guys, but you never know what might happen.
Is that a higher number than usual, and is that a testament maybe to the quality ahead of them?
Yeah, and I think you can look back to maybe like a Garrett Anglim, right, as a true freshman in 21. I mean, he came in and he was behind a stacked outfield with a bunch of veterans on a championship club. So, and we've seen him turn out to be a really good player. So I hope that means that we've got a championship level club this year with a lot of good veteran players that can kind of help show those young guys the way.
As the season's gone along, it's kind of that, I guess maybe at the start of the year, if you kind of thought of your bullpen in tiers in some ways, is that kind of second group of relievers kind of close that gap with the guys as the season's gone
They
along?
have, and I think what we're seeing is the guys that are starting to emerge. Now, part of it is Frelick hasn't been 100% healthy all year, and we're seeing him. He feels really, really good right now. And, you know, Rand Sanders, I think he's performed better as a gamer than he did in scrimmages, just because his competitive nature comes out in the game. So those guys have, you know, we had the guys that we pinpointed early, and then those other guys have emerged because they just keep throwing the ball over the plate, you know, and we get in these situations where we have all these high leverage relievers and we've played a ton of close games. It's can we just give a clean inning to 3 or 4 different guys, because they're not going to create a whole lot of stuff for the other team, and we've been able to have some success there. You've seen it particularly here in the homestand where we've had some guys emerge and we've just kind of given them, you know, an inning and said just go shut it down. And Worthley obviously has really come on as well.
You have who you're going to throw this weekend? Set?
Same guys same order. So Sears, Christo, and then McConaughey this weekend. Yep. Thank you.